Good morning. I wanted to talk about my 2014 Chevrolet Silverado. It's crew cab, four-wheel drive. Got the 4.3 V6 in it. It's been a great truck, but I had a slow crank to my truck ever since day one. Actually, bought it in January 2015. Actually, in October of 2016, I was deer hunting in Kansas, and I actually live in Ohio. I was deer hunting in Kansas, and it was 70 degrees that November day, and we went to start the truck after we drove out to the lease that morning, and it would barely start. And then it started. My buddy said, "You got a bad battery or what?" And I said, "Well, the truck's a year and a half old. Shouldn't be a bad battery." So I came back to Ohio. I took the AC Delco battery out, although it tested well. I just said, heck with it, I'm going to replace it with a Deca. So I spent $200 on a Deca battery, which anyone knows about Deca batteries, top of the line battery. This initially helped the slow crank on it, and then after that, the slow cranking started coming back. Then we get into 2017, and then we get in back 2018, and my truck starts dying on me, meaning I'm turning it to the left all the way cranked or to the right at a slow RPM or idle speed, and the truck will just die. Well, I found a video online about the G2 grounds underneath the A-post. I took all the G2, the A-post off, cleaned the sound deadening material under there. I didn't see much. But anyways, want to make sure we're metal on those contacts. And there's a guy from Kentucky that does a G2 video that does a very good job about it. So I did that. Screwed them back down, put it back on. Still, the slow cranking kept going. The car would die. If you don't know it, but these trucks from 14 to 18 have an electronic power steering pump in it. It's not manually fluid, it's electronic, so it's pulling all from the alternator, the battery, and everything. So when you have that wheel cranked, whatever, the truck would just die. Everything would flicker down. Well, I pulled the alternator out of the truck in 2018, started dying more often, and had it checked, put a load on it. Mine's got a Denso alternator on it. Guy said, nothing wrong with your alternator. My battery was checking out when I put my multimeters on there, 12.6, 12.4. I was scratching my head. The same video that had the G2 grounds in it also talked about a bad negative battery cable. Well, I called the dealership. The guy kind of questioned me, goes, "Why would you need a negative battery cable for 2014? And I said, "Well, I just need one." Because I was going to do it because I'm just trying to eliminate everything here, and I'm just driving like I'm going crazy with this. I replaced the negative battery cable in it, and he told me, "Well, it's funny, we've sold about 7 or 8 of these in the past 6 months on this model year, 2014's Silverado." So I replaced the negative battery cable, and immediately the slow crank went away. The truck fired up like it should, right on key. Then here, this past December, in 2018, we got some bad snow, got some bad cold, and when the back tires spin, when I didn't have four-wheel drive engaged, the StabiliTrak would lock in, I'd get stuff start flickering out all over my screen. And I had to get out, take the negative battery cable off, let it reset, put it back in, do all this. I had anti-theft device situations coming up to where I'd go out and try to start it, and it says anti-theft, open door, closed door, wouldn't start. I'm racking my brain. Negative battery cables, the G2 posts, grounds, we're doing all this stuff. We had a real hard freeze, like -20, -30 here in January in Ohio. I popped my hood because I went to start the truck, it wouldn't start. And I had red fluid coming out of the battery. Well, I pulled the battery out, took it to O'Reilly's the next morning. They checked the battery, bad battery. This is a Deca battery. This is not a cheap battery. I've had this battery in the truck now for 2 years. So I immediately called Deca. They replaced the battery. I got a battery there at O'Reilly's. So if you didn't know, East Penn Battery that makes Deca batteries also makes the batteries for O'Reilly's. That battery I put back in the truck with the new battery cables, with the G2 grounds fixed, and my Chevy truck has not experienced any more electronic issues. I haven't had anti-theft device systems going off. I haven't had any kind of shutting down of the truck. Everything's good. And somebody said, "Well, an idiot, why didn't you check the battery at first? Well, I had a deck of battery that was about 1.5 years old, and then when I put my multimeters on it, they were fine. What had happened is that bad negative battery cable that didn't produce good current basically fried that deck of battery, and it made it weak. So you guys that are out there scratching your head because the fucking dealership, if the dealership says, hey, I want to replace the battery, the negative battery cable on it, that will fix your problems. But these are fixes you can do at home yourself. The negative battery cable goes back behind and it's pigtails. One goes to the back of the engine block, the other one goes down the side of the frame. You got to take the inner fender well off to get to the back of the engine, but it's not that bad of a job. All right? But my electronical issues have been fixed. I've done the G2 grounds, replaced the battery cable, brand new battery. My truck has not shut off one time. I've had no funky electronical issues going up. You got to remember that electronic steering is pulling a lot from that alternator and that battery. So if you get one that's weak, you're going to get some crazy shit. I thought it was ECM. I racked my brain over about 2.5 years in finding this. So hopefully this video will help you out. And if you've got any questions or replies, just reply down in the comment sections. And like I said, my Silverado's fixed. So hopefully this can fix your things, all stemming from a negative battery cable.